Dear students, welcome back to the video class of business regulation. In our last two videos, we discussed the concept contract of agency. Today also I am planning to discuss the remaining portion of contract of agency. Today the topics for our discussion is liability of principal and agent to third party, liability of pretended agent, termination of agency, irrevocable agency, and circumstances where agency is irrevocable. So the first topic is liability of principal and agent to third party. Both the principal and agent have some liability towards third party. So in this head, first we can discuss uh, what are the liabilities of principal to third party. The liability of principal in relation to third party depends upon whether the principal is acting for a named principal, acting for an unnamed principal, and acting for an undisclosed principal. First one is agent acting as a named principal. A named principal means where both the existence and the name of the principal are disclosed by the agent, and this agent expressly contracts as an agent for a named principal. Now we can discuss the position of the named principal for the act of the agent. So the first position is when the agent acts within his authority. If an act is carried on by an agent within his authority, his act are binding on the principal. However, the act done should be lawful. This means that the principal can sue third parties under the contract and the third party can sue the principal. The principal is bound only if the act is lawful and is within the agent's authority. So, this is the first case regarding liability of named principal. Then the next case is when the agent exceed his authority. If the agent acts beyond his authority, then in such the case, there may be two situations. So, the first situation is where the work can be separated. If the agent's acts without authority is separable upon the act performed by the agent, the act within authority is binding and the principal is not liable. So, in this case, the agent act without authority and that authority is separable upon the act which is performed by the agent. Then the act within authority is binding and the other is principal is not liable. So, this is first case under the act of an agent exceeding his authority, and the second case is when the work cannot be separable. In this case, within the authority is not separable from the act without authority, the principal is not liable by the transaction. The whole transaction may be rejected by him. So, here principal is not liable for any transaction which is done by the agent. So, he have the right to cancel the whole transaction. Now, the next case is notice given to the agent is the notice to the principal. The principal is bound by the notice which is given to the agent in the course of business. Thus, the knowledge of the agent is the knowledge of the principal also. However, if the knowledge is not acquired by the agent in the course of his employment, it cannot be imputed to the principal. Further, if the agent had committed a fraud on the principal, the rule of this section will not be applied. So, this is all about notice given to agent is the notice to the principal. Now, the fourth one is liability by estoppel. The principal is liable for the unauthorized act of the agent. If the principal has created an impression on the third party by his conduct that the agent has the authority to do such act, so this liability is based on estoppel. Now, the fifth case is liability of misrepresentation or fraud by the agent. Um, the principal is liable for the misrepresentation made or fraud committed by the agent in the course of his business for the principal. Now, the sixth case is principal bound by admissions made by the agent. The acknowledgement or acceptance made by the agent during the course of business of agency shall be considered as the act which is done by the principal and he is liable for that act. So these are all about liability of a named principal. Now the second case is liability of unnamed principal. Unnamed principal means a principal whose existence has been disclosed by the agent, but his name has not been disclosed. Once again, unnamed principal means a principal whose existence has been disclosed by the agent, but his name has not been disclosed. If the agent, while contracting with the third parties, discloses the fact that he is an agent, but does not disclose the name of the principal is liable by the contract made on his behalf. For creating this liability, the unnamed principal should be in existence at the time of contract, and the act was done on behalf of the principal and within the scope of the authority of the agent. However, if the agent refuses to disclose the identity of the principal when asked by the third party, then the agent becomes personally liable on the contract. The agent also is personally liable if there is some trade, custom, or an express or implied agreement to hold the agent personally liable. So these are all about liability of unnamed principal. Now the next one is liability of undisclosed principal. Undisclosed principal means principal whose existence and name both have not been disclosed by the agent. The agent in such situation gives an impression to the third party that he is contracting in an independent capacity. So in this case, the position of the undisclosed principal, agent and third party are different. Now look the position of each one. First we can discuss the position of the principal. When the undisclosed principal is subsequently discovered, the third party may sue either the principal or the agent or both. When the principal discloses himself, then he may require the performance of the contract from the third party. But in such a case, he must allow to the third party the benefit of all payments made by the third party to the agent. So this is the position of the principal. Now the position of the agent. As between the principal and the agent has all the right of an agent against the principal. In the case of third party, the agent is personally liable to the third party on the contract. He may be sued on the contract, and he has the right to sue the third party also. Now the last case is position of the third party. The position of the third party is in case of the third party discover the principal or the principal himself intervenes, the party may elect to sue either the principal or the agent or both. This is the first position of the third party. Then if the principal discloses himself before the contract is completed, the third party may refuses to fulfill the contract. So these are the two cases or two position of the third party. Once again, the position of the third party is first, in the case of third party discover the principal or the principal himself intervenes, the third party may elect to sue either the principal or the agent or both. If the principal discloses himself before the contract is completed, the third party may refuses to fulfill the contract. These are all about liability of undisclosed principal. Once again, we are discussing the topic that is liability of principal against the third party. So we discussed the liability of principal in three head, that is liability of named principal, liability of unnamed principal, and a liability of undisclosed principal. Now the next topic is liability of agent. The general rule is that only the principal can enforce and can be held liable on a contract entered by the agent, except there is a contract of the contrary. When an agent undertakes personal liability, then he may be held liable for such contract. Okay, now we can discuss what are the liability of an agent. So the first liability is when contract expressly or impliedly provides. When the agent expressly by agreement or impliedly by conduct undertake personal liability for the contract, the third party can hold him personally liable for breach of the contract. This is the first liability, and this was explained under section 230 of the Indian Contract Act. Now the second liability is where the agent act for a foreign principal, where the contract is made by an agent for the sale or purchase of goods for a merchant who is residing abroad, the agent is personally liable, and this was explained under section 230 subsection 1 of the Indian Contract Act. Now the third liability is where the agent act for an undisclosed principal. Where the agent does not disclose the name of the principal, then the agent is personally liable for that contract. It was explained under section 230 subsection 2 of the Indian Contract Act. Now the fourth liability is where no action can be taken against the principal. In certain situation, though the name of even though the name of the principal is disclosed, but cannot be sued because of the incompetency of the principal, then the agent is personally liable. Now the next liability is where the agent acts for an unnamed principal. Where an agent who is act for a principal but decline to disclose the principal's identity, the third party can hold the agent personally liable. Now the next one is where the agent exceeds authority. When the agent acts without or beyond his authority and in this way commits a breach of warranty of the authority, then the agent is personally liable. Now the next one is where the agent's authority is coupled with the interest. Where the agent has himself interest in the subject matter of agency, he shall be personally liable to that contract. Now the next case is where an agent acts for a non-existent principal. Where an agent acts for a principal not in existence, he is personally liable for those acts as if he had contracted on his own account. Now the last one is where the money is paid by mistake or fraud. Where third party pay money to the agent by mistake or fraud, they can sue the agent personally. Similarly, if the agent pay money to a third party by mistake or fraud, he can recover it from him. So these are all about personal liability of an agent or liability of an agent. Now the next topic is liability of pretended agent. A pretended agent is one who untruly represented himself to be the authorized agent of another and thereby induce a third party to deal with him as an agent. Once again, a pretended agent is one who untruly represents himself to be an authorized agent of another and thereby induces a third party to deal with him as an agent. A pretended agent has no authority to act as an agent. This was explained under section 235 of the Indian Contract Act. However, if the principal accept the act of the agent, then the pretended agent will not be liable. Section 236 of the Contract Act says that a pretended agent is not entitled to claim preference of the contract on a subsequent plan that he was acting on his own account and not as an agent. So once again, when a person who is not an agent claims to be an authorized agent of the other person and thereby induces a third person to make a contract with him, such person is called as a pretended agent. Now the next topic is termination of agency. Termination of agency means cancellation of authority of the agent. So we can discuss the cases where agency may be terminated. An agency may be terminated either by act of the party or by operation of law. So first we can discuss termination of agency by the act of the party. The agency may be terminated by any of the act of the party. So the first one is agreement, then revocation of authority by the principal and a renunciation by the agent. So in all these cases, termination can be occurred. So the first one is agreement. An agency, like any other contract, may be terminated by the mutual consent of the party. This can be done at any time and at any stage. Now the second one is revocation of authority by the principal. Principal may either expressly or impliedly, after giving reasonable notice, can revoke the contract. But here there are some rules which are to be observed by the principal in the case of revocation. The rules are: the revocation may be expressed or implied from the conduct of the principle. That is the first rule. Then next one is where the agent has partly exercised his authority, there can be no revocation to that part. Suppose an agent is partly exercised his authority of that contract, then there can be no revocation to that part. Then next rule is an agency coupled with interest cannot be revoked. Then revocation is possible at any time before the authority has been exercised by the agent. Then next rule is where the agency has been created for a fixed period, the principal may revoke the agency before the expiry of the fixed period only if there is sufficient cause for the same. If the agency is revoked without sufficient cause, he must compensate the agent. So, when the agency has been created for a fixed period, the principal can revoke that agency only if there is sufficient cause of that agency. Now, the last rule is if the agency is continuous, the principal must give a reasonable notice for revocation. If such a notice is not served, the principal will be liable to make good the damages caused to the agent. So, these are the rules regarding revocation of authority by the principal. Now, the third case where the termination of agency by the act of the party is a renunciation by the agent. Just like the principal can revoke an agent can terminate his agency by renouncing the business of the agency. This was explained under section 201 of the Indian Contract Act. The renunciation is subject to certain rules. So, the first rule is renunciation may be expressed or implied from the conduct of the agent. Then the agent himself may renounce the agency after giving a reasonable notice to the principal. If he failed to serve such a notice, he is liable to compensate the principal for the damages which is resulted. Then if the contract of agency is for a fixed period, the agent cannot renounce it before that period without any sufficient cause for the same. So, renunciation by the agent means cancellation of the agency from the part of the agent. So, these are the three ways where termination is occurred by the act of party. Now, the next one is termination of agency by the operation of law. An agency may be terminated by operation of law. So, the cases are performance of contract, expiry of time, destruction of the subject matter, death or insanity of either party, insolvency of the principal becoming an alien enemy, impossibility of the performance, dissolution of the company, and termination of sub-agent authority. So, the first one is performance of contract. When the agency is for a particular purpose, it terminates when the purpose is accomplished or completed. When a particular purpose is completed, then the agency is terminated. Then expiry of time. When the agency is for a fixed period of time, it terminated on the expiry of that time. Then third case is destruction of the subject matter. When the subject matter of the agency of the contract destroyed, then the agency comes to an end. Thus, when agency was created for the sale of a horse, and if the horse dies, the agency comes to an end. So, the subject matter is destroyed, then there is no agency of contract. Now, the next case is death or insanity of either party. Death or insanity of the principal or the agent terminate the agency. Suppose a principal or agent is died or he is inside, then automatically the agency is terminated. Then insolvency of the principal. If the principal is declared as an insolvent, the agency is automatically terminated. Then principal becoming an alien enemy. When the principal becoming an alien enemy, that is the principal and agent belonging to different countries and the war started between two countries, then the contract of agency is terminated. Then next one is impossibility. When the accomplishment of the subject or task become impossible, then an agency is terminated. Next is dissolution of the company. When a company is dissolved, automatically a contract of agency is dissolved. Then the last one is termination of sub-agent's authority. The termination of an agency authority put an end to the sub-agent's authority also. So, these are all about termination by operation of law. Once again, termination of agency can be two types: termination by the act of party and termination by operation of law. Now, the next topic for discussion is irrevocable agency. What is the concept of irrevocable agency? When the authority of agent cannot be revoked by the principal, it is said to be an irrevocable agency. In certain situation, agency cannot be revocable by the principal, so that agency is known as irrevocable agency. Now, we can discuss the situations where agency cannot be revoked. So, the first situation is when the agency is coupled with interest. An agency where the agent himself has an interest in the property which forms the subject matter of agency. Then it is known as agent coupled with the interest. According to section 202 of the Contract Act, such agency is irrevocable and it cannot be terminated during the existence of such interest. The death or insanity of the principal does not terminate this agency. But in this case, the parties are free to enter into an agreement for terminating the agency. Now, the next case is when the authority has been exercised. When the agent exercised or performed his authority within the scope, the principal is liable for it and he cannot revoke that agency. Now, the third case is when the authority has been partly exercised by the agent. A principal cannot revoke the authority given to his agent after the authority has been partly exercised or partly performed. Now, the last case is when the agent has incurred a personal liability. Where the agent has entered into only a contract in his personal name for the principal and has incurred some personal liability, the principal cannot revoke agent's authority without his consent. So, these are the cases where agency cannot be irrevocable by the principal. Now we can discuss the questions which is related with this area, that is explain the liability of principal and agent to third party. What are the personal liability of an agent? Explain the liability of pretended agent. Explain the various modes by which an agency may be terminated. Explain the concept irrevocable agency. Explain the circumstances where agency is irrevocable. Okay, students, now we can wind up today's discussion. In today's class, we discussed the topics such as liability of principal and agent to third party, liability of pretended agent, termination of agency, irrevocable agency, and circumstances where agency is irrevocable. So, I think all you get an idea regarding all these topics. Now, we can wind up today's class and we can meet in our next video. Till then, bye. Take care.